What is going on, guys? It is Tom, or Tops in Wrestling, and welcome back to another video on the channel. We are talking AEW today. You might have noticed I was gone for a bit. That's because I was just finishing up with uni and stuff, which, by the way, I finished with uni for the year. Top 10 summer. Let's go. I'm going to upload way more frequently. I promise. I really need to get on it. And I'm so sorry for how this year has been, because I've been so bad with videos. But we're going to be getting on it this year. I've got so much motivation. And today, we're going to be debating Cody Rhodes in AEW, because so far there's been a lot of discourse over how Cody Rhodes has been portrayed in AEW. We're going to present both sides of the argument. I'm going to give my opinion, but also my opinion is that you should subscribe to me, because only a small percentage of you guys watching this video are actually subscribed. So if you do end up enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe. It's free and you can always unsubscribe. I've got so many videos on the way for summer, and let's get into this one.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero Kurt Angle, and you are watching Top 10 Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
So, let's talk about Cody's AEW run thus far. Cody, obviously an EVP of the company, helped found the company, and had his first match at Double or Nothing 2019, beating his brother Dustin Rhodes in what was probably the match of the year for 2019. From here, he faced Darby Allin at Fyter Fest. He teamed with Dustin to face the Young Bucks at Fight for the Fallen. I bet you forgot that match happened. He then defeated Shawn Spears at All Out, and then became the first official challenger for Chris Jericho and the AEW World Championship. The build-up to this feud was awesome, and the match at Full Gear was awesome, and ended up with Cody losing and MJF turning on him. And an important footnote is that as part of this loss, he would no longer be allowed to challenge for the AEW World title. This is important for later. He got into a feud with MJF, which was also an awesome feud. It featured that lashing segment, the cage match with Wardlow, and while the match between Cody and MJF at Revolution wasn't great, Cody did put MJF over, which was huge. And at this point, Cody was untouchable, especially for me. I thought he was red hot, doing great things. He was just doing brilliant in AEW so far. Like, so far so good. Then the pandemic happened. Crowds were gone. Cody started to distance himself from the elite and became a singles guy. He would soon win the TNT Championship in a reign where he did an open challenge, and from what I can remember of it, the only match that really excited me in that reign was the Eddie Kingston match, and maybe the Ricky Starks one, and the other matches were kind of underwhelming to me. He lost to Brody, which was awesome, and then won it back, which nobody really wanted. And in general, his matches he was having were not great, and a lot of his storylines weren't working. And we find ourselves in June 2021 now, where a lot of AEW fans resent him. He is constantly being dunked on Twitter, and there's so much discourse around how he's portrayed in AEW, whether he's overpushed or not. So, what is the problem with Cody Rhodes in AEW? Let's discuss. First of all, let's discuss the notion of Cody Rhodes being overpushed. Cody frequently gets kind of dunked on Twitter for being a mid-carder pretending to be a main eventer. Personally, I don't believe this. Cody is a main eventer. His presentation, promo ability, in-ring ability, his look, his entire package is main event level. However, actually, I don't believe that, because I believe the biggest issue with Cody Rhodes in AEW is how he is presented in a realm above every wrestler in AEW. He's presented as more than a main eventer. Cody Rhodes feels like he's presented as a special attraction, despite the fact he appears on TV every week. Cody Rhodes, he doesn't walk through the face or heel tunnel, he comes out in the middle of the stage in a crazy dramatic entrance with a chandelier and crazy pyro. Cody gets his promos focused group. For God's sake, the guy had his baby's gender reveal on Dynamite. No wrestler needs that. There is so much focus on Cody Rhodes and everything he does, and sometimes it's just too much. I surely just let the guy speak for himself. He's a good wrestler, he can talk, but they're overdoing it. This goes hand in hand with another one of the biggest problems with Cody in AEW. When Cody was removed from being able to challenge for the world title, it was done with a good intention. It was done with the intention of removing any sort of nepotism from the company. You know, the ideas that some fans had that Cody being an EVP gave himself an unfair advantage as he would push himself kind of thing, and that Cody was only winning the title because he was putting himself over, you know what I mean. But I feel that by actually removing Cody from this position, it's kind of made it all worse. Like, let's have a look. First up, the whole thing was kind of undone the second that Cody became the inaugural TNT champion. What's the point of having Cody not being able to challenge for the world title because of the whole EVP thing if he's just going to win the next available title? Now, obviously, this was a thing that was mentioned when Cody Rhodes was going for the TNT title, but I wish it was the focus point of the storyline. Imagine having Cody just be so desperate to want to win this title, like he's trying to redeem himself from the MJF loss, and he wants this title so bad he becomes ingrained by it, and maybe if he won, then yeah, fine, because you mentioned it in storyline, the whole storyline was built around that, and if he lost, it makes him even more, like, you know, desperate for a title, like desperate for success, and he just feels like he's lacking something. And all in the process, when he won this title, who did he beat? He beat Shawn Spears, who at that time in AEW was being portrayed horribly. He beat Darby Allin with that awful match finish that made Darby look so stupid. And he beat Lance Archer, who had just joined the company and could have really benefited from winning that title. Because what has Lance Archer done since? It just feels like Cody is getting loads of big wins, and it's like, for what reason? He can't challenge for the world title, so it's not like these big wins are going towards anything. Why does he need to be ranked? I feel like there's been so many matches that he could have and should have lost. Lance Archer, the Darby Allin match with that finish, though he did lose to Darby later, he could have just lost that match. Orange Cassidy for the TNT title, Scorpio Sky for the TNT title, Brody Lee in the dog collar match where he won the title back. And to be fair, all these guys weren't actually damaged long term from these losses, which is another side of the debate that I really do think people do overreact to that. However, I do believe they should have won those matches, but for people to say that they buried them from those matches is a big overstatement. However, one person who definitely should have lost is Anthony Ogogo, who just lost to him recently and then got a win back in a tag team match against him. What benefit does that have for anyone? We want to get away from WWE's 50-50 booking. Why are AEW doing it? So that was my personal opinion on Cody Rhodes and AEW. Now, let me present the other side and talk about why, at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes is Cody Rhodes. Listen, I do think AEW's portrayal of Cody Rhodes is worthy of criticism. However, it is not as big a problem as everyone makes it out to be, and maybe that's rich of me to say because I've done a whole video talking about it. I think there is a problem with it, but it's not a major bad problem that's going to kill the company or something. I see a lot of people comparing it to Hogan when he used to book himself over and backstage politics, or Triple H circa Reign of Terror time period, and it is not comparable to this. The fact that Cody took himself out of world title contention shows at least some level of self-awareness, and end of the day, Cody Rhodes is still over. Me and the rest of the people who criticize Cody Rhodes online are only a subsection of AEW fans. When Cody came out at Double or Nothing and the Dynamite was full attendance, he got a pop. People cheered him. He is over with the core audience of AEW. And we have seen what Cody is capable of. I recapped his AEW run thus far earlier, and there genuinely was a point where he was untouchable. And I just hope that when crowds are back, AEW will finally be able to have a way to be able to see whether things with Cody are working or not, because they have a reaction to it. They can see how the crowd are reacting to it and be like, maybe this isn't working, or maybe this is working and we should keep going with it. And I hope that with fans back in attendance, it means Cody can step up more and just we can see what we saw of him when AEW first started, because he was incredible when AEW first started. And end of the day, even if I don't like what they're doing with Cody, even if you don't like what they're doing with Cody, if the crowds are reacting to it well, you can't argue against it. You just can't. But yeah, only time will tell. We have crowds coming back in the next month for AEW with their full capacity shows and their summer tour. So only time will really tell. But that's going to do it for me and this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm finally back on YouTube. Making more AEW content. I definitely want to make more because I watch a lot of AEW. Love AEW. Jesus Christ, I just burped. But yeah, let me know what content you want to see. I'm going to have a video coming out very soon detailing the night that TNA Wrestling died. Very dramatic title, but that will be a good video. It'll be a classic pay-per-view review, which I have not done in a while. But yeah, I'll see you all soon. Goodbye. In fact, before I say goodbye, Twitter, Instagram, podcast, Patreon, all links down below. Check out my new second channel that I'm launching, because that's going to be huge. That is a big project I'm working on. And I'll see you all soon. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.